Greetings and salutations, everyone. Amadeus44 here, and welcome to the last episode of Mega Man Legacy Collection. So, I tried to think of what I could do for the last episode since all 6 games are completed, and the challenges are kinda lame. So, I decided, let's do a retrospective of all 6 of the games that I've completed, and I will give you my personal opinions on them. So, starting with Mega Man 1. So, with this one, music's really nice, some catchy tunes. Obviously not the, using the best of what the NES could have done with the music, but still good tunes regardless. Now, graphics are your standard Mega Man fare. Again, not the best in the world, but then again, what do you expect from the very first game in the series? Controls. Now that is where this game falls apart. Because, for whatever reason, Mega Man's physics are a little weird. For example, when I move forward, let me get my controller out, move forward, as you can see, there is a very slight delay between when I hit the button and when I actually start moving. That is not a problem with the Mega Man Legacy Collection. That was actually around since the original Mega Man 1, but it is annoying regardless. Now, enemies are, well, your typical Mega Man fare. We do have your typical things that you remember in the Mega Man series, like these floating block puzzles, your 6 bosses instead of 8. After all, the last 2 bots are Mega Man, Rock and Roll. Item placement is a bit sparse but fair. Some of the items are a bit more rare than others, and being this is the first Mega Man game, you do not have E-Tanks. Also, being that this is before Mega Man 3, you do not slide. Special items, we do not have Rush, obviously, since this is the first Mega Man game. And instead of any sort of special things, we just have the Magnet Beam, which we should hopefully be seeing any second now. Or at least we see the item, you know? Okay, this area again. And dead. Well, darn. Anyways, I think that will do it for Mega Man 1's review. The last thing that I want to say is that some of the enemies are so hard that they are on the unfair side, like those big jumper guys. It takes a million shots to kill those, even with whatever ability is the most powerful for it. And obviously that is really annoying. Anyways, on to the next game. Yes? Mega Man 2. This is much more like it. It feels a lot better, it has much better music, more nostalgic, and obviously this scene, which, if you've ever owned an NES with Mega Man 2, you would love this scene. Anyways, let's just continue on. Now, this game is the only one that has normal and difficulties. With Rockman 2, the Japanese version, it didn't have difficulty settings, and the default was the difficult mode. Let's just do normal, just so that I can do this rather easily. Let's, for an example, do Metal Man. Now, as mentioned, music is a lot better. Graphics are still not quite as good as they could be, but they are a whole lot better than Mega Man 1. As you can see, we do have the E-Tanks now. We have some interesting enemies, like these spike thingies that go up and down. Some of the more unique enemies start showing up. For example, the clown enemies later on in this level here. Some of the more memorable bosses are in this one, like Heat Man, for example. I do have lots of memories of playing against Heat Man. And as you can see, with normal difficulty, we are destroying these corn cob enemies a lot easier, and their drop ratios are a bit different. I'm getting a lot more of the big power-ups than I normally would. Perhaps my review of Mega Man 2 is a bit skewed because it was my first Mega Man game ever played, and one of my first actual NES games ever played, behind Super Mario Brothers, Gradius, and a few others. And here are one of the enemies that I've mentioned that are one of the more memorable ones. Another interesting thing with the normal difficult is that some of the enemies have different patterns to them. Case in point, these guys right here, the metal jar things, in difficult, if you hit them, they fall apart and then reform and then they die. But obviously, with normal mode, they don't do that. Item placement is a lot more fair. Obviously, there are the E-tanks that we have. We do have more fair sections in the final areas. More of the items that we need there. And the bosses are also... they are a little bit easier, even in the difficult mode. They have more easily recognizable patterns, no bosses that just immediately hit you and kill you, and you can easily kill them. Some of the patterns or some of the combinations for what power to use for the boss are quite obvious. For example, Bubble Lead for Heatman, and so on and so forth. Anyways, so I think that's enough to talk about with Mega Man 2. Oh yeah, before I forget, also, it does have items, special items, but being as it's before 3, there is no rush power-up. Instead, we have item 1, item 2, and item 3. Item 1 being a sort of jet ability, item 2 being a sort of, item 1 being something that hops up and eventually gets, latches onto a wall and climbs up. Item 2 being the jet ability, and item 3 being just balloons that slowly go up. I might have accidentally transposed 1 and 3. If I did, I apologize. The only real problem with Mega Man 2 is some of these levels, like for example this one, that's why I did it, have these really, really, really tough objectives. Case in point. Also, a few of the enemies are a bit on the unfair side, but not as bad as Mega Man 1. For example, the Sniper Joes, the big guys with the really huge mechs in this game, have really a lot of hit points and require a lot of hits to kill. Anyways, I think I've gone on enough about Mega Man 2. Let's go on to Mega Man 3. Also, I have the volume way down because of the fact that this music is normally so loud, and I cannot figure out how to turn the volume of this down. So, Mega Man 3. Once again, really, really good music. Really memorable stuff. Bosses are quite memorable, although the combinations for them are a bit less obvious. For example, how do you know which one Magnet Man will be weak against, or Hard Man, or things like that. So, being that this is Mega Man 3, it now features some of the more memorable abilities. For example, you can now slide. And also, it introduces Rush. Oops. Right here, Rush Coil. It has the 3 trademark Rush abilities, Rush Coil, Rush Marine, and Rush Jet. It also has an interesting feature of this lovely gentleman, Proto Man, or as he's known in the early parts of this game, Breakman, who just comes along randomly at some stages to test you. Enemy difficulty in this one is a bit easier than 1 or 2. Some of them have rather annoying patterns to them, but they aren't too terrible. So, since this is Mega Man 3, it does have a lot of bugs to it. I don't know if it's a developer thing or something else, but if you plug in a controller in controller port 2 and I think it's hold up on that controller, you can cause Mega Man to jump really high. There's another button that if you hold down, completely destroys enemy AI, causing enemies to just completely derp out. And another one does something else, I forget what. Oh wait, slows down time, that's what. There are a few areas which are a bit on the unfair side, like this future area that I'm getting to here. Let me get to that. Whoa. Come on. Nope. Block puzzles in this game are a whole lot more prevalent than they were in 1 or 2, possibly combined. Anyways, as you can see in this area, we have both a magnet and block puzzle and a pit. And then this area, it's mostly pit with the magnet. Really, really tough. The one thing which kind of confuses me is the fact that they added in walls which you can destroy with Hardman's ability, but yet they've only had those in a few of the Dr. Wily stages. I would have much preferred them to be scattered around the game more visibly. Another interesting feature about this game is that after defeating the 8 robot masters in it, you have the Doc robots that you have to take care of. And those are robots that are programmed with the abilities of the 8 robot masters from Mega Man 2, which is quite fun. And as you can see, we have our first boss. This one is pretty much a demonstration of how to use your sliding ability, because most of his patterns are easily removable by sliding. For example, this, you can slide and speed along. And then these, you can just speed along with the slide. Whoop, and dodge the missiles. So, dodge, shoot, etc. All in all, I enjoy this game, and I would say that it's tied for being one of the best Mega Man games around, with Mega Man 2 being the other tied game. Anyways, let's go on to Mega Man 4. Oops. I think I've gone on long enough with Mega Man 3. Mega Man 4. This game I haven't really done a whole lot with as a kid. It does have this really nice opening sequence with just talking about the history of the Mega Man games and the backstory, so I do appreciate that. It also features the start of the ability that is prevalent in all the rest of the Mega Man games, as well as the Mega Man X games. That is to say, the X Mega Buster, which is done by holding down the fire button, and you charge up your shot. Very good ability. So yeah, 4 has a few things going for it. Now, it does also have a few things going against it. For one thing, the level designers are bit more prevalent in doing lots of spike traps and things like that, which are definitely no fun at all. And I think that was the first time I've ever gotten past that area without needing to use Rush Coil. Anyways, so yeah. Some of the bosses, or some of the enemies are a bit on the unfair side, some of them are a bit nasty, and some of them are just downright bad. Not very good, but yeah. Also, it does have a few annoyances. For example, if you're using your Mega Buster and you get hit, let me give you an example of that. Oh wait, that's not in Mega Man 4. Never mind. But it does have a few other annoyances. For example, at the end of the game, at the final boss, there are no power-ups to pick up. You have to grind it all from enemies in the final stage. That, while it does pad the amount of time needed to play it, it is a bit of an annoying move. Some of the bosses, as mentioned, are unfair, and it seems like you generally need a few more shots to kill them. Now, this game does add in a few interesting physics things, like, for example, these waterfalls that both slide you in the direction of the current, as well as causing you to jump shorter when you're in the middle, even though it doesn't really move you either which way while in the middle. Rush abilities are still there, although Rush Jet is modified, and you do not have full control of motion with it. Instead, it just automatically goes forward, and you're taken along for a ride wherever it goes straight. You can kind of adjust its bearing, where it's going up or down, and move it a little bit faster, but you don't have the full range of motion. The enemies are a bit inventive, like that snail that you just saw there. These fish are really, really annoying. Also, there are some enemies whose placements, if you if you don't have the correct ability to kill them, and you have to back up a little bit to kill them when you go forward, another one that is there, and it is just annoying trying to kill them over and over and over again. Now, some of these abilities some of these bosses are a bit nasty. For example, that guy, you have to shoot him at the exact right time, or else he automatically damages you. Not fun. I think I've gone on long enough with 4. 5. 5 is the last of the games that I've actually owned, the other two being 2 and 3. And this one has an interesting story about Proto Man going rogue and whatnot. And bosses are a bit inventive. The opening cutscene is nice. It fleshes out the story quite well. And some of these bosses' stages are interesting. For example, this one being in space, you have the reduced gravity of space. Huh. Oh yeah, I remember what the problem was with 4. If you get hit and you decide to start charging your hit up while you're hit, it will not register as your button being held down, which is obviously quite annoying. Now, as you can see, the Mega Buster was upgraded a little bit, in terms of how it looks. It's also a bit larger, being able to hit lower enemies, which is definitely a good thing. Now, as you can see, we have these letters, which there's one in each stage. If you get all of them, you unlock a new companion, Beat, who is Bird. Yay, Bird. Now, items are a bit on the rarish side. You don't really often get E-tanks, but they have got a new type of tank, though it is very hard to find, and I think I've only found one in the entire game. The M-tank, which not only fills your health up to full, but also fills all of your energies. Very good for the last fight. That is the place which I used it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in Mega Man 4, there was also the companion there, Eddie the Flip Top, who, when you visit him, he dispenses a random item to you. Very cool thing. Now, this game I find is a little bit better than 4, but not by too much. It definitely ranks in probably not quite top 3, maybe top 4. But yeah, this is one of the areas which I mentioned before where you can just frequently get enemies at you. Alright. Once again, you do have to grind for the last boss, which is really annoying. Fortunately, though, it does, you do have that aforementioned M-tank, which does help out a lot. The bosses are fair, I would say. They do have a little bit of difficulty to them, but it could be worse, as you will see later on. Now, as you can see, Mega Man 5 also has some more of the spike traps that kill you, which is not exactly cool, but yeah. If I recall, Mega Man 5 is the first game that, or the one game that completely eliminates Rush Marine, the underwater moving ability, so you're just having Rush Coil and Rush Jet. Not too much of a problem because Rush Marine is pretty much just relegated to like 1 or 2 small areas for the entire game, so I can understand the reasoning behind the removal of that programming. Probably saved up a bunch of bytes of memory anyways. So I would definitely approve that. I think I've gone on long enough about this game. The boss abilities are rather inventive. For example, Starman is your bog standard shield ability, but you can also shoot it forward, unlike most of the other shield ability guys. A few others have their uses as well. I personally think that they work out pretty decently. Some of them are a bit more useful than others. We do have the obligatory time freeze ability, the aforementioned obligatory shield ability, things like that. I think I remember long enough. Oops, wrong button. Quit, yes. Mega Man 6. Capcom. You could have done so much better, but you did not. The bosses, some of them are weird. For example, why the heck Plant Man? Flame Man also feels like it's a bit of a stereotypish, sort of a Middle Eastern looking boss in a rather Middle Eastern looking area with oil fields. Yay. Items in this game are a bit sparse. E-tanks, for example, you don't really see them quite that much. Some of the stages are rather inventive, though. For example, this one where there are enemies that actually cause the oil to catch fire. Other enemies, like these guys, allow you to, when shot with a thing, jump on them and move around like this. Now, they've got rid of the rush ability, instead giving you rush suits, parachute, and a flight, or a jet suit, which the jet suit is sort of like a short-range flight, which is definitely interesting, and they have used those abilities to pretty good levels. For example, you saw a bunch of cracked blocks in the stage. Those cracked blocks could be used by the para ability, and destroy them for items. Definitely a good thing. Also, these enemies here, the sort of spike guys that I cannot kill, you can actually kill them with the power ability. Now, this game, you can still unlock speed, but instead of getting letters in all of the stages, you get letters in 4 stages that just spell P-E-A-T. Now, this game is, yeah. The bosses are really, really unfair. So, yeah, sometimes bosses have patterns that you just cannot figure out, and as such, they just are there to annoy the heck out. Some of the bugs in previous games have been fixed. For example, Mega Man's Mega Buster is now able to be kept to charge. See, I hold down, and yep, able to get it. I do like the fact that there is a very brief description of the bosses and their locations in the boss selected screen. That is really nice. Also, once again, we do have the obligatory abilities. Plant Man is your shield ability, and even though we don't have the obligatory time stop ability, we do have sort of a flash damage all enemies on the screen slightly ability, which is interesting. And as you can see, yeah, kind of annoying. A bit easier if you have the correct ability, but I don't have that. Is that all that I can talk about? Oh yeah. Also, the final boss area, once again, you have to grind for it, but fortunately I was able to keep enough of my energy to be able to beat the boss. So, at least the grinding is not a requirement this game. Anyways, I think that's enough for Mega Man 6. Now for the program as a whole. It does have a lot of nice things to it. For example, it does have the proper slowdowns for when sprites get too full. It does have a way to emulate the TV scan lines and the CRT mask. Kinda, sorta. Well, not the CRT mask. It doesn't kind of bevel out like a CRT screen. You can change other things. For example, you can do a border, which, yeah. Wait, does it change the border for each game? Let me take a look. Yeah, that looks like it's specific just for Mega Man 6. Huh, okay. And you can set the screen area. You can do it original, which is really, really narrow and really, really small, like that. Full, which is what I've been doing, or wide, which, yeah, no, 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 no. Too wide, too fat of a Mega Man. Full it is because original is too squashed, and yeah, the less said about wide, the better. So if you do enjoy Mega Man games, pick this up. The only problem is that unlike the Mega Man Anniversary Collection for the Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, it doesn't have 7 or 8. Speaking of those two, I don't have a copy of Anniversary Collection. I thought I did. I must have either put it somewhere or something, and as such, I do not know where it is. So this is going to be goodbye until I have it. I do have my Wii down here, and it is hooked up to my computer. Problem is, it is running into problems. The audio stutters a bit, which, yeah, that's not cool. I don't want to give you a subpar performance. I do have Mega Man 9 and 10 on the Wii with some of the downloadable content, and once I get the Anniversary Collection and my Wii talking to my computer a bit better, I will do 7, 8, 9, and 10. But for now, this is going to be goodbye for the Mega Man series. I will, as mentioned, get back to it, so do not worry. But anyways, as usual, don't forget to leave a like, comment, or whatever you want, and this Zombie is 44 signing out, wishing you a wonderful day and happy gaming. Farewell, and if you have any comments for how I did this review, just let me know, okay? Okay.